stopped on his own. But I was gonna finish wrapping this up. But I do want to thank the ones that did turn into the first live, and I'm just gonna finish this on up. But today I did share about Ruby Bridges. If a lot of people don't know who Ruby Bridges is, she was the 6 year old that was integrated into a white school. And I was just sharing about how brave she was and the things she had to endure in order to stay at that school. And I just thank God that we don't have to go through those things now. Our kids don't have to go through it while they're going to school, because the way how things going on now, that would be too much for our children to. If things were like it was when Ruby was coming to school, it would be a little bit too much for our children now, especially with all the things that are going on out in the world. So I salute and I honor Ruby Bridges for her bravery and the things that she did accomplish at 6 years old. I think she's about 70 now. She go to a lot of schools. She do a lot of events for children. She's still a silver activist, and so I salute her for her bravery and the things she did. A lot of people wouldn't have did. I know at 6 years old, I couldn't have stood up and went to no school where you was not able to go play. You know, a lot of kids just go to school to be on the playground. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. But Ruby didn't even get a chance to hang with no friends. She didn't get a chance to go to the cafeteria. She was just like she just was escorted by marshals, but she did not give up. I don't know after my live I was on the first time, it stopped on. I think I was having some technical difficulties, but I just wanted to wrap this on up. And like I said, a lot of people don't like to hear about this kind of stuff. I think it might be boring to them, but we went through all this in school history class, and we don't realize some of the stuff that our teachers taught us in school. We could tell back in the day that things aren't like they was back in the day with the segregation. We're able to go to school with whites now. We're able to go to our favorite restaurant. We can go in and sit down and enjoy without people. You know, now it's like this. You can have you can get your dates where you want to go. If you want to have a party or dinner, you can do that ahead of time. You don't have to be turned down because of your color. You don't have to be treated a certain way because of the color of your skin. And Ruby Bridges is a trailblazer. She's one of the ones that stood out there. Folk, they were throwing rocks at her. They was throwing objects at her. But as a 6 year old little girl, you know, you'll think she'll be want to play with her baby dolls, and but she had to face the adversity of going to a school where she wasn't even wanted. Saw kids her age didn't want to be in the class with her, in which the children probably just like her, confused, wondering why people was doing treating this little girl like that. But like I said, things do start at home. It's the way you teach your children. It's the way everything do start at home. If you teach your children in some way when they go somewhere, they should be able to, in other words, know how to act when they get around other people. But back then, it was just bad. It was still light white hair. You know, I was watching a movie by Jane Pittman the other night. It was just how they was doing the whites and blacks back in the day. Hey, welcome in. How are you? I was just talking about this is my second live, my first live. I don't know what happened. Technical difficulties, I guess. But I was just talking about Ruby Bridges. How are you doing? Just sharing some history. If you're coming in my chat, please give me a thumbs up. How are your day going? Do you know anything about Black History Month? I'm sitting here drinking some tea right now. And I was just talking about Ruby Bridges. She was a silver. She's an activist. She still doing that today. I was reading where she go to the schools, and she do different programs to try to help educate students and children about some of the things that she faced when she was coming up. And thank God that they don't have to live through some of the things she went through. And it's good that she's still at the age she is, still sharing her story. She's still sharing what she went through at 6 years old. Yeah, they say she's what? I think she's 70 now. Yeah, she's 70 now, and she out in her lifetime. She was able to meet two president. President Clinton gave her the Silver Honor Award, and she was also able to go to the White House to visit President Obama. A lot of folks didn't know how bad it was back then. We've seen the movies, we've seen films, we've seen people come out and talk about how bad things were back then in the 50s and 60s, how they was treating the blacks. And they had got to the point where people couldn't go nowhere. They were always being judged by the color of their skin and things like that. And that's what Martin Luther King, Ruby Bridges, Malcolm X, all of those people fought hard for those days, but we're able to stand up and make our voices be heard. And she was one of the ones had to be court martial, had to be escorted to school every day. You know, for a 6-year-old child to miss a lot of that. I think her first year at that school, she went through a lot. It's being who want to be walking around with marshals in front of them and marshals in the back of her, because they couldn't let her just go walking by herself. Not how much violence was going on back there in the 50s. I wasn't born. I was born in 69, but I have heard my mom and my grandmothers speak on how things were, how they used to have to pick that cotton, and how they was being treated by being just to be the color of their skin. And Martin Luther King, he did have that dream that children don't be judged by their color of their skin. So Ruby Bridges, you deserve your flowers. You still deserve your flowers for what you had to endure at an early age. Oh, yeah, I don't know what happened to my other line. Um, I had some technical difficulties. It stopped us off. Hey, Pooh, or whoever you are, how are you doing? How you doing? All right, Frank? And I'm just trying to finish up because the line really stopped on its own. I was like, what? Is this thing still going? I think I was having something going on with the internet. But Frank, I enjoyed seeing your your dinner today. Maybe you want to go in there and make me a sandwich. I think everybody so far is me, you, Miss Key, and Sassy. I think those are the only ones. I want to eat dinner, so I didn't eat. Oh, okay. Hey, Kiki, how are you? Welcome. And I was just talking about Ruby Bridges, because a lot of people probably in my chat, they probably not old enough to know what she had to endure. And, I finished reading her story. She went through a lot. Well, that's good. Ruby Bridges went through a lot. They throw objects at her. They tried to poison her. They did a lot to her at 6 years, tried to do a lot to her at 6 years old, just because she was past the test where she was able to go to a school where whites was. His idea what was going on. So, well, Frank, eat you some meal now. You ate early. You ate early. That was just your meal. Eat you some if you're hungry. Get you another sandwich. Get you another sandwich. Unless you cutting back. You just cutting down to one meal a day. Get you something else. Maybe get you some another sandwich or you know, that was lunch. Okay. Hey Joshua, we'll get you some dinner. You can share it any time of the day, evening, whatever. Whenever you choose to. We'll see it. How you been doing, Joshua? I came back on my first live and got um I don't know what happened, but I think I had technical difficulties. I was talking about well that's good. I was talking about Ruby Bridges, the when the lady that was 6 years old, she was going to an all white school, and I was reading about how they treated her and stuff. But she was a brave little girl. And they said, and Marsha said she never did cry, y'all. All the while they was calling her names and throwing objects at her. Ruby never did cry. She stood her ground. She was brave. Her mama said she encouraged her every day to still go to school. Like I was talking about earlier, how kids get easy to get influenced about social media and other things. And it's good that we as parents still need to encourage our kids, even though some of our kids might do want to be on social media or want to be doing things, but we still must let them know how important their education is. Even though Ruby Bridges went through all of that, it seemed like she went through all of that her first year at that school until all the things got segregated the way it should. But she stayed, and her parents kept encouraging, told her to keep hanging in there, keep holding on. They was telling her to stay encouraged and to pray before she went to that school. So Ruby Bridges does deserve her flowers. And I see she have been honored a lot. They have been giving her awards. They have her she be guest members on at schools and different things like that. And I was surprised my little granddaughter, which I know they're talking about Black History Month this month, she came home talking about Ruby Bridges. And I would tell her, I said, yeah, she was 6 years old, the same age my little granddaughter is. Ruby Bridges, same age my little granddaughter. And I was telling my little granddaughter how brave that little girl was. She stood in front of, there were bullies out there. There were bullies out there in front of that school trying to keep her from going into school. So that's why her parents had to have marshals escort her to school. And I'm glad and thankful that our children today, they're going through a lot. They are going through a lot, but they don't have to experience that going to school, people throwing objects at them, making them feel bad, maybe spit at them and stuff like that. All that was going on, making a little girl, but she never did waver. Ruby Bridges never did waver. She kept her head up. She walked her little tail on in that school with her little bag. She sat there at that desk. Her teacher was just on her teaching her. Because none of the other students was brave enough. They was cowards. And their parents were cowards. Because their parents didn't want them to be around a black student. And this student, that black student, young Reg, you back. I don't know what happened to Mother Lie. Like it stopped or something. I don't know what happened. How you been doing? I was just sharing some moment in Black history about the Ruby Bridges story about the young girl that was had to be escorted to school every day because she was going to a white school and just sharing some history. How you been doing though? You been doing okay? I could even see the comments and the one that they're moving on my last slide. I was like, where everybody at? I guess nobody in the chat. I don't know what had happened. So that's why I came back. For real? I hope everything is working well. Okay. Just keep a praying and hope things get better for you. Hope things get better for you. And then what was so bad about it, soon as the little girl, soon as the little girl came to the school, the parents pulled their children out of school. The white parents pulled their children out of school. You know, I'm glad that that little girl, I'm sure she probably did have some emotional breakdown, but she was brave in front of those people. But I'm sure when she got home, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I'm sure her family was affected mentally also. Jody girl, I had conversation with my parents about my deep root identity issue. Okay, what did they say? Did they tell you some things that you needed to hear? So were you able to understand more about your identity, your heritage, and things like that? Hey James, how are you doing? Well, that's good. That's right. You're supposed to ask questions. Anytime you want to know something about something, ask questions. James, how you been doing? Yes. But yeah, I was just sharing about the Ruby Bridges story. I really was into this story. I admire her strength or what she had to endure as a young child. And we're so blessed that we're not living back in the when they was doing all that. We're blessed that we don't have to be separated from our classmates, and everybody can be going to the same school if they choose to go to the same school. But there are still some private schools out here that some people just let their kids go to private schools. Some schools, they go to military schools. But I don't think it's as much racism as it was back in the 50s and 60s. Now, I still do believe there's still some racism exists in the United States today. They said, focus, okay, do that. Focus more on God. Do that. I got my mother explain the spiritual aspect, and my father explained it. There are similar issues to me. Yes. And that's good. That's good. They explain it to you in a way where you understand. So, do you understand more about your identity now? Are you understanding more about it? That's good. And that's what we want to see, you feeling better. And I know going through things like that probably is taking an emotional toll, not knowing exactly. You know who you are, but you saying you don't know your, well, in other words, what your nationality or things like that. And I hope the conversation you had with your parents, I hope that was helpful. I mean, if I'm looking at your profile picture, you look like you kind of like, is you look like you're Hispanic, but you're not Hispanic, right? So you like to have a light complexion, like their complexion. That's what you look like to me. Just by looking at your profile picture, you seem like you not real high yellow, but like you know, got the tone of Hispanics. You brown skinned, South Asian. So let me ask you a question, because I'm talking about racism right here now, and I'm talking about the way they treated that little girl back in the 1950s, Ruby, because of her color. Have you ever been in a racial uh, predicament? Have you ever been like someone judge you because of your color? Have you ever recalled or been, hey Terry, I don't know what happened on the other live. I think I was having some issues with the internet because I was using my computer. I don't know what was going on, but I had to come back because the way the live went, it stopped. And I couldn't see the chat moving, and I didn't know if y'all was still in the chat. I didn't know if people were gone. But let's wish Tara a happy birthday, y'all. Today is Tara's birthday. Let's wish Tara a happy birthday. Oh, okay. So yo, you have been racial, you have been like kind of target because of your color. Okay. Like I said, even though that happened back in 1950 toward Ruby, but there's still some race. Do y'all, you can say yes, no, maybe. Do y'all still see some racism in the world today? It ain't just all about black, white. Racism all the way around the board. Do y'all still think it's still some racism in the United States? You saw a mixture of both brownish and yellowish. But have anybody ever thought you was black? Have anybody ever thought you was black? It's still some racism going on. I mean, you know, not in so much of people not able to sit with each other, or people, these days you can sit where you want, you can go where you want, um you could attend whatever you want. I'm talking about in the sense of just being who you are, because now ain't nobody gonna tell nobody they can't sit in that chair. I mean, you might go somewhere, they might say, well, I'm holding this seat for somebody, but they're not gonna tell you, oh, you're gonna be sitting right there. No, we're not seeing that kind of racism. I mean, well, you might see a little bit in other places, like places where people don't want people to be involved, but there are still, when it come down to us, when it come down to our education, our ways of living and things like that, we still be judged. We still be looked at as a color. We don't be looked at as a whole now. We're still being judged because they like, wow, they didn't think that a person of my color or your color can achieve anything. You see what I'm saying? But ain't nobody taking that other stuff now. Ain't nobody calling them no N word and saying you can't do this, or you gonna have to give me your seed, or you can't drink out this water fountain, or ain't nobody taking that kind of stuff now. Not in 2025. But it's still some more stuff when it come down to racism going on. Over here on my channel, I invite everybody. I don't have a racist bone in my body, but I do like to be respected. Doesn't matter who you are, as long as you respect me and respect my chat. Frank said yes. People thought I was Arab. Okay, maybe. Young girl in the 50s and 60s, what is this? Pakistan and the United States had to hide who they were, and they'll get beaten too. Wow. You grew up multicultural. Okay. Judge girl, I'm in the middle of both British society and Pakistan. Wow. So your parents told you, was your parents back there when they was doing all that? I didn't know that. There are a lot of races where people are being still judged for who they are, or who they people allege them to be. But that don't mean that they are those people. It's just because people are just looking at the color of your skin. You see what I'm saying? See, when Ruby Bridges, they did not like the fact that this little girl passed the test. See, They had the test. See, they look at us as not being smart. I'm just gonna tell you. They look at us black people for not being smart. But we are smart people. They was looking back then, just said back then in the Ruby Bridges days. They thought that no one can pass that test. See, they was making it hard. They was trying to make it hard for black people back then. They was probably putting the test harder. So her parents knew she was smart. And they didn't, they really didn't want her to take the test. But she took the test and she passed the test where she was able to go to a white school. You said racism used to be over, need to be overt nowadays, convert. Okay, yeah, still some out here. Judge here, my father's British from Pakistan. My mother's born a Pakistani. So if that the case, ain't you one? So you don't think you're a Pakistan? You don't think you one? Judge girl, I was judged more by my faith on few occasions. Oh, okay. Hold on. Hey Kenneth, how are you doing? This is Kenneth Bird, y'all. We also have a Kenneth Williams. So I have two Kenneth would come over here. This is Kenneth Bird. Uh, we're talking about, I was sharing on my first live about Ruby Bridges. I was sharing some history about her, the 6-year-old little girl that had to be integrated into a white school, and how things was she was treated so bad because she was a black little girl. She passed the test where she was able to attend the school, but they was really, racially treating her bad. They would throw objects at her. They were barricading her where she couldn't like get around to go to the school. So they had to hire marshals. They had to hire U.S. marshals to escort her to school. She had to go through that at 6 years old during her first years of school. At 6 years old, we were in kindergarten and first grade. And she had to endure all of that because of the racial things that she was surrounded in. Because she was living in that time where blacks was on one side and white was on one side. But it was at the point where things were getting ready to integrate. And she was at that particular time in her life where she was able to attend that school. Hey, you there? How you doing? You're integrated, yeah. And I'm thankful. And I don't know how many of y'all in my chat thank God that the schools and restaurants and all these places are not like they used to be, not like they was in the 50s and 60s, even though there's still some racial things out here. But we're able to drink at the same water fountain, we're able to go to the same restaurants, we're able to go to churches together, because there are a lot of people go to churches and they're all races. But back in Ruby Bridges' day, she couldn't do that. She couldn't even attend public school without them throwing objects at her, without them judging her because of her skin. Okay, we don't probably have that going on now without them integrating, with the school system, because people go to whatever school they want to now. But there's still some things going on in the United States that are prejudiced, and there's still some racists out here. But ain't nobody taking none. People are not backing down. People are not just holding their hand. They're standing up for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So we have to give Ruby Flowers her Ruby Bridges her flowers, because she paved the way, and she's still paving the way now at 70 years old. She does have a foundation where she go to talk to children about what she had to endure when she was coming up in the 50s. Okay. Hey y'all. Hey Sirius. But how many people in the chat still feel, I had asked the question, how many people in the chat still see some racism in the world? Don't be scared to speak what on your mind. There's still some racism out here, y'all. It ain't a black, white thing. It ain't none of that. But it's still racism out here. And we see it every day. They might not come out of your face and spit in your face now. They might not tell you to get up out your seat. But there are some things where we still are being judged. We're still feel like that we're not smart enough or we're not good enough to do some of the things that others think they can do. You know what I'm saying? In that way. How many of y'all still think that there's still we done came a long way? We done came a long way. But we still got some ways to go. Especially when it come down to treating people equally, treating people right. Okay, let me see what you saying. Good to see you, Sears and East Dad. Uh, Young Red said, Georgia girl, but if I'm multicultural perspective, so basically I'm experience stuff positively mostly. Okay. But you talk to your mom and dad, they, pretty much explain to you what your nationality or what your identity is, since you was confused about it. So I'm glad you know, they told you to focus more on God. So that's what you do. But I know you want to be knowing who you are, what your identity is, and things like that. It's good to want to know, and it's good to ask questions. I'm trying to see what Siri Dad said. I mean, East Dad was saying. You experienced some of that, East Dad? So you have been judged by your color, or have you been treated in a way that you think that racism still exists in the United States? Can you care to elaborate? Can you give me a example? I know when it comes down to these jobs, and I'm just gonna say this. I hope nobody don't get mad or come in my chat. Like this election just passed. I feel that a lot of people just didn't want a woman to be president. I felt like, to me, that was kind of like, um, kind of racism, kind of like they wasn't trying to give her an opportunity. This is just my opinion. So hope nobody don't. A lot of people might not feel like I feel, but I feel like they just didn't. They feel like a woman cannot lead, but it's not right. And then it could have been by her color. So that's just my opinion. So I'm just saying. I'm just speaking. Newsflash: as long as the enemy exists, it's not going anywhere. Exactly. Exactly. Try to okay. I had some British people tell me I'm not British enough. Some Pakistan tell me I'm not Pakistan enough. But let me tell you, young Reds, you are enough. Whoever you are, just remember, you are enough. Whether you are Pakistan or British, you are a child of God. Just always remember that. And you are enough. You are worthy. And you tell yourself that every day. No matter what color your skin is or whatever they assume you to be, you always remember that you are enough. Uh, Terry said, take many colors. Y'all make sure y'all tell Terry happy birthday. Today is Terry's birthday. I gotta put up something for his birthday. I thought it was tomorrow. I try to keep it with all the moderators' birthday as much as I can. Oh, my mind bad now. But, but let's wish Terry a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Terry. Terry said take many different colors to make a rainbow. Who says that one color is any preferred than the other? If we all thought the same, there would be no new innovations or discoveries. That true. Judge Girl, I didn't tell. Hold on. Judge Girl, I didn't tell me back then as a kid because I didn't understand it. Okay. So you learn as you got older. Okay. Even though your parents, who you say your parents are, and they have explained to you and they telling you just focus more on God, and they don't want you to be worried about your identity and worried about what color you are and things like that. Your parents love you for who you are. And I don't know you outside of YouTube, but just by you coming to my channel, I think you're a respectable young man. And over here, I don't see color. I don't see color. I see people as human beings. And long as you're respectful to me and respectful to the people in my chat, we're good. No one over here judged. No one will be judged, no matter who you are. I did see Sirius in here. Sirius Virgo. I was trying to read her comment. Let's see what she said. But yes, okay. Oh, she was speaking. Good to see you, Sirius. My other line, I don't know what happened. It stopped or something. I don't know. Okay, she was saying, I'm coming through the show, love. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Same to you. But I'm about to end this. I had to come back because my other line got stopped or something. I don't know what happened to it, but I had to come back. Um, Back to work. Yeah, it was a thank you, East Dad. And thank you for coming in and dropping that in there, telling us about that because I I'm gonna say this, and I said on my first live, the way how things been going now, our men seem to be how would I put this? It seems like our men these days are being judged for being who they are. Y'all notice a lot of things going on now. You need, and mostly a lot of black men are getting charged with different things, or they being stopped. Or it seemed like to me, and it looked like they're being stopped because of their skin. That's how we look at it. But it can be other things, but it's also racial. Some racial got something to do with it too. What did you say? And more, please send that back to the point. There have been many great lady leaders in history. Cleopatra, Rhea. Yeah, Harriet Tubman. Yeah, I've been sharing some things about lady leaders and things like that. Oh, okay. Yeah, we got a lot of women leaders out here. But I'm just saying, a lot of people thought she couldn't. You know what I'm saying, Terry? You know why a lot of people didn't vote for her? They think a woman can't lead, but they can. We can lead a household. We can have babies. So we can do it. We can do a little bit all. I gotta go get my charger. Y'all meet in the chat for a minute. I gotta go my charger. But yes, but like I said, things are not like they used to be, y'all. We're not in the Ruby Bridges days. But there are still some racism out here. But we're not in her days. Yes, we have came a long way from the Ruby Bridges days. The schools. I have a lot of I have a lot of friends that are not the same color I am, and I see I have different people coming to my chat. You know, I'm just glad things are not like they used to be. I thank God that things aren't like they used to be back in the day. You know, that's what I'm thankful for. Because I don't think if we was living the way things were back in the day, y'all, ooh, Lord, things would be total different. You know, the kids already, they already go through a lot at these schools, you know, especially with the gun violence and all of that. Just to think if we were still, just to think if we were still living in the segregated times. It would be rough, y'all. It would be rough. Like I said, I'm friend. I mean, long as people are friendly with me, it doesn't matter, and respect me. It doesn't matter if you come to my channel, what color you are. What you were saying, y'all read? Well, I'm glad you're feeling much better. I'm glad you are feeling much better. I'm so glad. I'm glad you was able to talk to your mom, and that's what you're supposed to ask questions. If you're not sure about something, if you're able to ask somebody some questions, please do. Especially when it comes down to your life and stuff like that. Ask questions about a picture. But like Martin Luther King had always said, he wanted his four little children to be able to go to, not be judged by, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Martin Luther King was saying he wanted his four little kids to be in society, not to be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their content. I was over here talking about the Ruby Bridges, the little girl the 6-year-old little girl that was integrated into a white school and how they had treated her. How you been doing living for Jesus? And I was just glad that we don't have to live in that time right now. You know, she had to be escorted by the marshal every day. Every day she was being escorted by the marshal. Hold on. This is her now. This is how she looked now. But she was 6 years old when all of that happened. Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is Ruby Bridges at 6 years old. So she made history. She made history at 6 years old. And this is in the history book. A lot of people say they haven't even heard about this. You see, I was just sharing some moments of history. This little girl was so brave, y'all. At 6 years old, we didn't know about all that. At 6 years old, we didn't know. Well, I wasn't even born back then. No, I don't think nobody in my chat was born in 54. This happened in the 50s right here. This when it was real prejudice and this when all the races was going on. When people had to sit in separate seats, stuff like that. But this little girl, when she was 6, she had like 2 marshals in front of her and 2 behind her. She couldn't even walk to school. She couldn't eat with the rest of the kids because they was trying to poison her. She couldn't play with the kids. She couldn't do nothing. All the parents took their kids out of school when this little girl attended the white school. She attended this white school because she had passed her test. Back then, they had it where they take a test, and they said, well, but 6 black kids took the test, right? And they said they made it hard for the kids, couldn't pass. But guess what? Out of the 6 students, this little girl did pass. And they tried to make her life real bad her first year of school. But she stayed. She stayed encouraged because she had parents to encourage her. Her parents told her to keep her praying. And I think there was a lot for one child to go through at an age she did. And the marshals, I read where the marshal had did an interview where they said this little girl never did cry. All the while they was throwing objects at her. They was belittling her. They was saying all kind of racial things to her. She never did cry. She never did. She never gave up. She kept the faith. And that's why she's part of our history today. She's a silver activist and she's 70 years old now. She share her story everywhere she goes because she try to encourage the children now in school. No matter what people might judge you or might say, they can call you whatever, but you don't have to answer to that. Just remember to be who you are. Be who you are. Continue to strive and be the best at whatever you can be. Our times are not like they was. We got lawyers and nurses, and we even had a first black president. We had a woman running for president. All things have changed now. It ain't like it used to be. Thank God for that. But we have came a long way, but we still have ways to go. I'm gonna probably wrap this up in a few more minutes. So a lot of people didn't know who Ruby Bridges was, and it was all back in the 1960s, y'all. I was born in '69, so I used to hear people talk about the Ruby Bridges story, but until I really did my own research and decided to do some black history. I think I mentioned her last year, but it's my first time when I really just read her story. Look at her. She was so cute. She had a little bag with her. The marshal said she'll walk just like a little soldier in that school. Had a little bag, had a little head up. She had faith and she was brave. They had to score her. Look at her. She had two in front of her and two behind her. That's just how bad it was bad back there, y'all. Even though she had people escorting her, they still would say mean things to her, throw rocks at her. But she didn't waver. And this is a moment of black history, guys. You can read along, you can find it yourself. Her name is Ruby Bridges. That is her name. And in her life, she was able to get the President Clinton awarded her with the Silver Medal Award for being brave and safe. She also was able to meet President Obama. You know, they said they was trying to poison her. You know how kids be at school. If you wanna, some kids like being at school. Some like hanging around with their friends and like to be carrying on at lunchtime. Yeah, you 23. I know you don't know that about it, Yari. I know you don't know about the segregation, but they was trying to poison the little girl, so she had to start eating at home. She couldn't even eat in the cafeteria. She couldn't even go outside to play with the rest of the kids. You learning, okay? She went through a lot in elementary school. 6 years old, she was just in kindergarten, first grade. You know what I'm saying? So all the little sixth graders didn't even want to be around her just because of the color of her skin. Just because she was one of the ones that was eligible and had passed the test to attend a school for only whites. I think that was wrong the way they did her because they judged her based on what was going on in the country. She just was an innocent little child. Just wanted to go to school hang out with some friends, get a education. But the parents of those other students, they took their kids out of school because they didn't want her around this little. They didn't want their kids around this little girl. So she's teaching and she's sharing her journey to other children at 6. She telling the children what she had to go through, regardless of what our ancestors, our grandparents went through back in the 50s and 60s with the slavery and the segregation and all that. We still was able to learn something from them. We were still able to make it. Some people didn't make it during all this time. We can remember when Martin Luther King and all of them was out there marching on the bridge, and they did all the marching and all the things for us. They sacrificed. They got beat up. They got rocks thrown at them. They even got spit on. They was walking so they would wear their shoes down. They was marching for our civil rights. They was marching for our rights to vote. They did it all for us. So Ruby Bridges, you deserve your flowers. And I gave you your flowers today. I talked about you. I'm sharing about what you endured as a 6-year-old that most adults probably couldn't have even stood to do. She had some strong, supporting parents. Even though I think her dad lost his job, they was target. The family was being target because of their daughter going to an all-white school. But she made it. She made it. She made it. She kept her head up. She kept the faith. She fought through all the adversities, the racism, all of it. And that's why she's part of our history. She's part of our history, guys. She really is. And I was when I heard my little granddaughter talking about her, it's just like it just warmed my heart to know that she's learning about Ruby Bridges now. And my granddaughter is 6 years old. And I told her, I said, Ruby Bridges was the same age you was. And she endured a lot. And I'm glad my grandkids, my children, didn't have to go through none of this. That's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful times have changed. But it's still some things need to be done. It's still more changes need to be changed. But that's what we vote for. We vote to change things. Our voices can be heard. That's why they voted, they fought for us to vote. But we can change some of the laws and some of the things that we know not right. We have that freedom of speech, everybody. We do have freedom of speech. And we can make some changes. We have came a long way, but we still have ways to go. We still have ways to go. And I was trying to see, did she have any children? No, they wrote so many books on her. Look at that. They have wrote so many books on her. Plenty of books about this little girl and what she endured. And she had one teacher. She only had one teacher was willing to help her. Only one teacher. Called the parents of those students took those kids out of school. This how she look now, y'all. For her to be 70 years old, she look pretty good. And she's still speaking. Her voice is still being heard today. She didn't let what happened to her stop her. And that's what we got to keep her doing, y'all. Sometimes it be hard. We run into those rough paths. Our roads be rocky. Be thinking that you're at the end of your rope. But we have to keep the faith. We have to keep the faith that no matter how hard things get, we must continue to keep going. Just don't give up. I tell myself that a lot. Even though things get hard sometimes, but I say I got to keep it going. You have to keep your own self encouraged. We can't expect others to keep. I like to motivate others, and I also keep myself motivated. You have to keep yourself lifted up in prayer. And that's what her mom, that's what they was telling her every day before she went in that school to pray. They was telling her parents would tell her, pray before you enter that school. They was telling her to pray every day. And if you believe in prayer, prayer do works. Prayer does changes things. But you got to believe. You got to believe. She believed because she didn't give up. She did not give up. So on that note, Terry, I want to wish you another happy birthday. What did you do today, Terry? What did you do for your birthday? And I'm sorry I hadn't shout out you out because I was going to do it in the morning, but what did you do today? I know you're just thankful just to see another birthday, huh? If you think you're going to fail, you would do something to make your failure happen. Why run a race when you think you're going to fall? You must keep a positive mindset in life. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what this young girl did. Even though at 6 years old, she was young, but she had a mind of an older person because she knew she was surrounded by racism. She was surrounded by racism. She had to be escorted to school every day for about a year, they say, because of hatred and evilness, because the people just couldn't, like they couldn't face the fact that a black child was able to attend their school. But we beg to differ today. Today, you can go wherever you want to go. People are getting, like my granddaughter, she's saying she's getting offers and people are sending her things for college. I told my granddaughter, I don't know which school she's going to go to, but I told her I'm proud of her. And, a lot of us, I did have the opportunity to go to trade school, but a lot of kids were not even able to attend college. They couldn't afford it. Even though they back then, they probably had their little grants. But some people still wasn't able to attend college and do things like that. But we must remember, even though the road get hard, just always continue to keep God first and he will direct your path. And this was a moment of Black history, the Ruby Bridges story. You had an annual virtual birthday. Appreciate you too, Lazarus. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't even know it. I didn't even get no notification. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. I didn't even, I was thinking your birthday tomorrow. I was gonna give you a birthday shout tomorrow, but I'm gonna get off now and get you shout you out. See, I ain't get no notification. What time that was? I'm about to go and I guess I'm about to type in her name because I'm not getting her notifications. Okay, what time that was here? Cause I was saying, I said, I know Terry birthday tomorrow and Frank birthday the 26th. See, I was thinking you and his birthday was a day behind each other. But happy birthday, and hope you enjoy it. I'm going to go catch the replay. All right, you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to hit those like button, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out those short challenge. The meal of the day videos that we're doing. Shout out to everybody who's doing them. Y'all have a great night, and I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.